It's 4 years.
Oh, we're ready. I'm cued on. Welcome, everyone. I'll go ahead and kick us off. If you want to take a quick seat before we get started. I want to quickly introduce myself. My name is Julia Gutierrez Albright, and I'm coming to you from the Sanilac Intermediate School District. I'm happy to be here today. I know the presenters very well. We've known each other for a long time, working back at the health department days. So I'm happy to be here with you all. We want to give out a couple of announcements before we kick off the class. So McKenzie Health System does some great classes here monthly. And so you can find all the information on their website. There are a couple classes. Actually, there's another one next week that's Cooking with Kids that the Sanilac Intermediate School District is hosting with McKenzie. And so happy to have you back next week already to do the Cooking with Kids class. We want to do a couple of shout outs to our collaborators here within the community. So these classes wouldn't be possible without some of the very important partnerships that we have. So people, of course, well, we'll start off with McKenzie for hosting all of us community representatives, but also Community Mental Health, the Michigan State Extension, the Sanilac Intermediate School District, and the Health Department are all key players in making these classes possible. Before we kick it off and I hand it over to our presenter, I just want to do a couple of housekeeping things. So we are, it's kind of a weird life that we live in where we have virtual option and in person. So there are people joining us virtually that can hear what you're saying in this room. So just to kind of share that anything that it's like picking up and it'll be on Zoom. And then people who are joining us virtually, we can't hear you, but we do have the Q&A, the question and answer function that you can ask questions, and our lovely Nina will pose those to the group. Any questions before I kick us off or turn it over? The other piece too was this event will be recorded and you can find that on the McKenzie YouTube channel. So if you are like, Jen, I need to like a reboot on how to make these gardens, you can always get everything that she shares here today on our session. So I will hand it over to Jen Gezequel. You can introduce, kind of give us
I can do that. Okay. Hello, everybody. There's some familiar faces here. I'm Jen Gezequel.
And our mic.
Oh, you got one. I got one. I'm Jen Gezequel, and my husband Matt is in the back of the room. He's my helper today. And I've been involved in the community for many, many years in different capacities. And today we're going to talk about building fairy gardens. Now, just a little bit of background before we get started to building, how I got involved in fairy gardening was a few years ago. Has anyone been to the Butterfly and Hummingbird Memorial Garden out at Diamond Trail? Anyone? Yes. Yep. So my husband and I and my family, we restored that garden, and that garden has 2 big fairy gardens in it. And so that was about 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago, we started building a fairy garden. And that special garden is in memory of our daughter, Alexis, and her unborn babies. They're in heaven now. And this is how we help heal ourselves, is doing good things to the ground, getting grounded, playing with flowers and plants that my daughter really liked. One thing that my daughter really wanted to do the summer before she passed was she wanted to build a fairy garden. And it was during that COVID time where everybody was locked in their houses. We never got the opportunity to do it. So my husband and I built her one. So that's how I got into fairy gardening. So it's something that's very special and near and dear, and I'm so happy that I can share it with you guys too. I'm by no means an expert. I just go head first into the deep end with doing things, and I just fell in love with it. So everybody's got their little container, correct? Yeah. So this is a tabletop fairy garden, okay? And this is something that you can take home with you. You could put it outside on a patio table. You could leave it in the doors with you, but this is just something you can take home with you, okay? And it's something easy that you can do with your friends. You can do with family members, and it's really fun to do, especially if the adults here have grandkids. It's something to do to bond with your grandkids, and it's just something to do in a classroom and with other kids, like a party, a birthday party. That would be a fun something to do. So what I used in my little container is this is just indoor outdoor potty mix. You can get it at any store, Walmart, or anywhere you can get indoor outdoor potting mix. I like the natural aesthetic of things. So we brought some hens and chicks, and these are hardy. These can go outside and they will overwinter here. But you don't have to put real plants in, because obviously real plants will require a little bit of water, right? So, and you guys can get as creative as you want. And a lot of you have already collected some of the little fairy characters and doors and houses that we brought with us today. And, feel free, if you see something that you're drawn to, go ahead and select it. But keep in mind, this is as big a space for our fairy garden. So if you have things that are really big or multiple things that are big, you may want to, or may have to put things back too, to make sure you have enough room. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start building the garden. You guys don't have to do what I do, but that way you guys can get a sense of what exactly the different steps I take to do things. I like to start with bigger things and then you go smaller, right? So because I said I like that natural aesthetic, I chose this is a hen and chick. So I'm gonna put it like off on the end like this, because it's kind of moundy. So I kind of like use it as a good backdrop. So, and if anyone grabbed like one of the hens and chicks, they got a pretty thick root system. So you might have to get into your dirt a little bit and nestle it in. And if you don't do the hens and chicks, that's okay, but feel free to take all of these supplies are brought to you by our organization, which is a nonprofit for the Butterfly and Hummingbird Memorial Garden. It's its own nonprofit, and we wanted to make sure we shared this with you. So, a lot of people chose a hen and chick.
Do you have a scissors or a whip or something, but some of these stems are too long or?
I don't have any scissors with me. You could just kind of do your best, I guess, and you put any stems into the dirt, or Matt might be able to bring some more dirt for you, so it's a little deeper. We do have more soil. So the next thing that I choose is like either my house or my structure. So I chose a door, because I have a pretty big hen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to nestle the door right up against my hen, so to speak. So that's just going to be kind of almost like a mound, or like a little hobbit mound, almost. Did everyone choose like a house or a door? Awesome. I see a lot of you have some really cute ones, that's for sure. So did everyone get to pick out gnomes and fairies for your fairy garden? So I have one of each. I have a gnome and I have a fairy. So this one's really cute. This one's a little bee. We support our pollinators. And then I chose a fairy too, because I want one of each. And so my little fairy here has a little stem too, like you were mentioning. So it's a little shorter, so I'm going to nestle her into the dirt like that. So I have a gnome and I have a fairy on either side of the door. So the next thing I'm going to do, I like using pea gravel and river rock. I'm going to start with some pea gravel and I'm going to sprinkle it onto the remaining dirt. Oops, I lost my my little bee gnome here. So I'm gonna move. So you guys can kind of see what I'm doing, and you can do, I mean, be creative as you want to be. I'm gonna create like a little pathway with my pea gravel from the door. Does anyone have a fairy garden at home? Outside? So, oh, nice. So one thing that I like to use outside, I like to recycle things that are in nature. Finding an old stump, a tree stump. You might have to have help with someone who's nice and strong to move a stump, but that is a fantastic tool to use as a base of a fairy house. So, and then if you guys want to use stone, in these gray and blue totes here on the table, there are the pea gravel, which is the small, and then the river rock, which are the bigger, chunkier rocks. So, and now that I've got, I don't know, it's hard to see because I don't want to tip it over, but I have a little pathway using the pea gravel. Yeah. And now I'm going to use the river rock that's chunkier, and I'm going to build almost like have rock walls along the side of the pathway. And it just kind of adds to, adds to the aesthetic. Some plants that are really great to use besides hens and chicks are other types of succulents. There are ground sedums, which are fantastic and really hardy and don't need to use a lot of water. Now there are a lot of nurseries, and there are some locally that carry what are specifically fairy garden plants, and they're just miniature versions of plants, and they have these really cute fairy names. Some of them are not hardy to our winters, and that's okay. You can always replace them. And some of them flower. Do you guys, oh, that's cute. I like to use the blue rock. That's cute. Almost like there's like a river too. So that's another thing you could do. You could use like blue colored stones for a fake water feature. And there's a lot of like little pieces of fake turf, fake grass that you can use if you want to have like a little grassy area. And then there's a lot of little fake trees. So I'm just going to keep building my rock wall here. Has anyone ever been to a fairy garden anywhere at a big park? There's some really big ones in Michigan. Yeah, they're Ann Arbor. Actually, they also have in downtown Ann Arbor, they have this, find the fairy doors all through downtown, which is super cool. Yeah, and I think outside of Ann Arbor, there is, I can't recall the name of it. You might have to Google it. There are some fantastic fairy gardens in like woodland settings, which that's fun. I mean, that's fun because when you get to a woodland setting, then you can use a lot of stuff you find in the woods, All right. So now you guys can kind of see, I used the chunkier river rock along the sides to build a rock wall. And then I got my pathway, and I got my little gnome, and I've got my fairy. And now I'm just going to add a couple little things to make it kind of fun and homey. I got some tiny little mushrooms. Hopefully you guys all got the little cute little spotted top mushrooms. Those are really significant to fairy gardens. And then I have a tiny little snail. And then the last thing that I'm going to add is a little sign that says live, laugh, love. And this was a sign. This was a saying that my daughter loved. So this is why I chose this one. And I'm just going to add it right behind our little gnome friend right here. And there's a couple cute little ladybugs too, and they have like sticky pads. So you could literally stick it onto a rock, or you could stick it onto one of your houses. Those are cute too. Did everyone find the rocks? If you wanted to add rocks, it looks like you all found rocks, which is great. Do you guys have, oh, you got a cute fairy. You got fairy and gnomes too? Awesome. Awesome. So who is going to build a fairy garden at home? Yeah, yeah, we have one at home too. We have one at home too. It's fun. And it's a lot of garden centers are now catering to fairy gardening too. So it's fun. And again, it's something you can do very inexpensively. A lot of these supplies that we got were from like the dollar stores, any type of dollar stores. And we really get in on the like the fall sales where you get stuff deeply discounted. That's a good time to buy supplies for sure. Now, if anyone has real plants in there, they chose real plants, especially with the succulents. I wouldn't dump a lot of water in this because there's no holes, there's no drainage holes. So maybe just light water or misting your succulent would be fine. Now you can do different sizes fairy gardens, like these totes where I had the rocks in. You could do a fairy garden in something like that and do perennial type plants or hardy plants. Something like that, I would drill probably drainage holes in the bottom, and so that way you can water things a little more generously if you have flowering plants. Does anybody have any questions at all? You guys, I mean, you guys rocked it. You have some fantastic fairy gardens. And I hope you guys take these home and share them with your families. And maybe you can get your family members to build one with you too, and maybe outside. And if you have an opportunity, please, please go out to Diamond Trail and see our fairy gardens. There's a lot of different characters out at the fairy gardens, and we have a lot of kids that will add little characters to the fairy garden, and I love that. I love it. We always find something new at our fairy gardens. So if no one has any questions, I'm going to let you guys finish building your gardens, and these are yours to take home. Thank you very much.